Yes, welcome into Sports Bet. Betting Insight today, Tuesday, August 23rd. Pauly and Teddy, big game breakdown. First place on the line. Giants and the Dodgers and the Nationals and Orioles continue their series. Deep dive. 6 football players arrested at Notre Dame. 1 kicked off the team. 1 suspended indefinitely. And key players back at NFL training camps. We'll get to that as well. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Let's start with a bad bet. The Reds, Dodgers total bet down from 9 to 8.5. 18 to 9. Dodgers, Teddy. They hit 7 home runs.
Yeah, when both teams flare over the total and that game took under money, yeah, that's a bad bet. I mean, they were at 10 in the third inning. You know, Adrian Gonzalez went yard 3 times. Huge day for Agon. But when you look at the Reds, and we've made so much fun of Cincinnati's pitching staff at times this season, they did have 1 effective pitcher, even though they gave up 18 runs. Of course, the effective pitcher was the backup center fielder, Tyler Holt, who pitched the 9th inning and got the Dodgers out in order because L.A. was waiting to get on a plane because they got to fly back to the West Coast to take on San Fran. I'm sure if the Dodgers were in a competitive game at that stage of the contest, they might not have gone out 1-2-3 in that spot, but not a good job from Cincy's pitching staff. In L.A., man, those bats are hot right now. They've been tearing the cover off the ball, and that's what carried them through this whole stretch since Clayton Kershaw got hurt.
Well, we can do this every night, it seems. Bad for the books, the Cubs steam. 290 on the road. Lester against Edwin Jackson.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that that opened as low as 220, 225, 230. Closed as high as 290. I mean, the public, and this is not the wise guys. This is not the syndicates. This is public money. Your average Joe is betting the Cubs every single day, and they're winning every single day. That's the thing with baseball. You can never turn a winner into a loser from the price tag like you can with point spread sports like football and basketball.
Bad for the books again. The Astros, the Pirates were bet down from $1.60 to $1.40. Fister pitched well. Astros stay hot.
Yeah, I mean, the momentum for both teams carried over from the weekend series. We talked about it on yesterday's sports bit, how the Pirates fought the good fight, but all of a sudden now they've lost 4 in a row. They just got swept by a team they're chasing in the wild card standings in Miami, and of course losing the opener here against Houston. We'll give Pittsburgh credit for not cutting and running, but the Pirates aren't playing good ball right now, and certainly the betting markets recognize that with all that Astros money. Meanwhile, Houston lost the first game at Baltimore. Then they took all 3 games in Baltimore over the weekend against a team with the best home record in the AL. And I want to make this note here, Paul. You know, the season-long aggregate stats can really start working against bettors. We're start talking about August and September. You know, the time to be playing Baltimore, for example, cheaply at home, that ended before the All-Star break. This team is now the Orioles, 4-8, their last dozen at home, even after beating the Nats last night. And yet, you look at the season-long stats, say, oh, they still have the second most wins in all of baseball, behind only the Cubs. They have the most home wins in the American League. Yeah, the aggregate stats can be real misleading. And Baltimore, obviously, one of those examples. Houston, another one, a team where certainly the momentum from the weekend carried over into the new week, and not a good result for the house with the Astros beating the Pirates.
This is a bad beat. This is a vicious beat. Red Sox Rays under 7.5, 3-0 in the 9th. Price has a 2-hitter going, 6-2 final.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how does it start? Let's see. You have the throwing error by the pitcher. Whenever you're like, you got an under, and you're in the 9th inning, and you have 4.5 runs to spare, and the inning starts with a throwing error by the pitcher on what should be out number 1, all of a sudden now you're starting to bite your nails. You're starting to sweat. So you have a throwing error, then a 2-run homer in the top, and then another run comes in. And next thing you know, now it's a 6-0 lead. Oh, Price, you don't need to go back out there. Matt Barnes, why don't you go out for the bottom of the 9th? Boom, 2-run homer. Ouch! 7.5 under goes down in flames with that 6-2 finals. That, it's pretty close to being a moose. We probably should have a picture of a moose up there for any viewers who were involved in that game on the under last night.
Coming up next, big game breakdown. Mad Bum against Maeda. First place on the line with the Giants and the Dodgers on SportsBet. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.
Hey, SportsBet viewers, I'm telling you, man, tune into these MLB Odds Couple shows. Mike Brenner and I both up big in August. And are we going to be able to do it again today on Tuesday, August 23rd? I don't know, but maybe. What do you think, Mike Brenner?
I don't see why not, Pistol Pete. We're
think
just
so?
plunging forward.
All right, tune into the show today, Tuesday, August 23rd, and find out for yourself.
That's right, and come on down after you're done with Teddy and Pauly and get a little bit of us.
Back on SportsBit, time for Big Game Breakdown. As always, live odds, sportsbookreview.com. Does it get any better than this? Giants, Dodgers, first place on the line from LA, and it's Mad Bum against Maeda. $1.10, 6.5 the total. The Dodgers have the one game lead in the division, but don't look now. The Giants only have a game and a half lead over the Cardinals for that wild card spot. And even though Mad Bum gave up the grand slam in his last start, he helped the Giants come back with his bat, and he also threw 89 pitches and stayed under 100 pitches again, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, and let's start with Mad Bum's bat right here. Here's a great picture of him hitting one of his home runs this season. Look, don't get too carried away. He's still a below-average MLB hitter. But he does bring an advantage over others at the position, and it's an advantage that matters when you look particularly at the slugging percentage. Here's a graphic for you to show it very clearly. National League pitchers or Major League pitchers this year, the slugging percentage of 172. Mad Bum's double that. And as you mentioned, he only threw 89 pitches against the Mets. Now, there have been 4 previous times this season that he's thrown less than 100 pitches. So what do? We look at the next start, obviously, and see how does he do after throwing less than 100 pitches. And the answer is really good. In those 4 starts, a 1.50 ERA and 30 innings of work. So averaging more than 7 innings per start in that next game following a relatively short outing.
Usually routes are good for a pitching staff, but the Dodgers starting pitch has been horrible. The starters the last week or so. So they win 18-9, but Kazmir only went 2 2/3. So the Dodgers had to use 6 different relievers. They all threw at least 15 pitches. You factor in the long plane ride. That's a problem as well because Maeda has only finished the 7th inning 1 time over the last 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, Maeda's been very effective for the Dodgers. He's been able to eat up innings. What he hasn't been able to do is last deep into ball games. Look, the guy's 12-7 with a 3.29 ERA, and there aren't a whole lot of flaws when you look at his advanced metric stats. You know, we're talking about an 11.8 swinging strike percentage. That's number 11 in all of Major League Baseball. He faced San Francisco 1 time already, helped him to 1 run on 4 hits, a 3-1 win here back on April 17th. That's the only look San Fran has had him so far. But the issues behind Maeda with that LA bullpen is a big concern for me for the purpose of this particular ballgame, particularly when we're talking about Mad Bum on the hill for San Fran. And I'm going to ask you this. This is a conversation we had, I don't know, about 2 months ago on this show, Pauly. We said it was going to be Cubs versus Giants in the NL Championship. You still stand by that statement?
No way.
Really?
No. The Giants, I don't think they're going to put it together. I think the Giants are going to miss the playoffs.
So who do the Cubs versus who then?
I'll probably go Nationals by default. Nationals will sneak in there. I don't know. It's hard. I mean, it's up for grabs because the Cubs are probably going to face the Cardinals in that second round. But I think the Cardinals will win the wild card. And then, I don't know, it might be the Dodgers. Who knows? Kershaw says he feels good after the bullpen session.
Yeah, I mean, considering all the struggles the Dodgers have gone through, all right, this team is crushing the baseball right now, as we talked about in our opening segment. And if you can hit in October, you can win series in October. If you can get 1 or 2 decent starting pitchers, the Dodgers might have that. I think LA live in that NL pennant chase.
Yeah, like to see that. Live odds, sportsbookreview.com. Game number 2, the series continues with the Nationals and the Orioles. It's Lopez against Gausman. Orioles $1.49.5 the total. The O's won yesterday 4-3. Got the lead, turned it over to the bullpen, and Britton did it again. He lowers his ERA to 0.53 since the break. 0 runs, 4 hits, 18 strikeouts. He's faced 156 batters since last allowing an earned run. Staggering numbers, Teddy.
He's got to win Cy Young. He's got to be the Cy Young. And closers shouldn't win Cy Youngs. That's how good Britton has been this season. Now, give me your back, Pauly, because we got to give you a pat on the back. We told you Steven Strasburg was not right. We told you that on yesterday's SportsBit. Of course, the play that we had with Strasburg not being right was selection on the over Unfortunately, that's no action because he got put on the DL prior to the ball game. But now there's a changing focus for the Nationals in terms of Ronaldo Lopez. Originally it was, hey, let's see if we can develop this kid. Now all of a sudden it's, hey, we need you, kid. And that's what they're looking for from Lopez. Now, this is a guy that the Nationals didn't want to have to use that much. He's only 22. He's got only 4 AAA starts under his belt. But his stuff is downright nasty. We're talking about 10.3 strikeouts per 9 innings so far. The average fastball clocks at 96.3. When you project that against current major leaguers, only Syndergaard, Eovaldi, and Carlos Martinez have higher average fastball velocity so far this season. He's gone back-to-back starts of 7 full innings, so he can stretch out, although both of those came against the weak-hitting Atlanta Braves.
Well, the Orioles' starting pitching all year has been smoke and mirrors, and their starters have really struggled lately. So they needed Gossman to step up big in his last start and get his control back, and that's what happened. They needed it big time, and he delivered.
Oh, he sure did. He's been a steady control guy all season. Only 2.6 walks per 9 innings, but he had 6 walks in 4 innings against San Francisco 2 starts back, and he needed 97 pitches to get through those 4 innings. Well, last time out against the Astros, he was money. 8 strikeouts, only 1 walk, pitched into the 8th inning, and it certainly helps for him to be in Camden Yards because we talk about home-road dichotomy. That's Kevin Gausman. Look at it. At home, 4-1 with a 2.73. On the road, 0-9 with a 5.32. Yeah, that's a home-road dichotomy worth noting.
Yes, staggering there. Up next, the deep dive. 6 arrests at Notre Dame. And as you can imagine, Texas money coming in. We'll run through that. Who's out, who's suspended, and we'll get to key players coming back at NFL practice. Plus the play of the day on SportsBit. Betting Insight today. Hey guys, it's that time of year again, football season. And with that, let's hear from everyone's favorite prick.
If you like Captain American football, there's 50,000 dead presidents on the line in this year's Beat the Prick contest. In case you ain't fucking guessed, I'm the prick. Click on the link below for more info. I'm ready to stomp some ass. This is going to be my best performance yet. So join today. It's free, you fucking squares.
Time for the deep dive. Back on SportsBit, Pauly and Teddy. Huge news over the weekend. 6 Notre Dame football players arrested. They kick starting safety Max Redfield off the team, senior All-American candidate, and also senior cornerback Devin Butler suspended indefinitely, and 4 other players where Brian Kelly still going to decide what to do as more information comes in. I can't believe Butler is only suspended indefinitely. According to the cop, he hit him and body slammed him.
What do you want him to do? Suspended indefinitely. That's not saying suspended forever. That's saying let's see what the facts are in this situation, and until that time, you're suspended indefinitely. The key loss here is Redfield. Where we're talking about a guy who, as you mentioned, a senior All-American candidate. He missed the Fiesta Bowl versus Ohio State, also a disciplinary issue. And it's worth noting the Buckeyes scored 44 points in that game, gained 500 yards, and had more than 200 on the ground and through the air. So that's the key loss here for Notre Dame. Let me get to the Brian Kelly quote. Quote, during the past 24 hours, I've met with each of the members of our team involved in the 2 incidents that occurred over the weekend, reviewed the evidence available to me, and consulted with others involved in the leadership of our team and the university. The process has only served to deepen my disappointment in the poor decisions made by these young men. Their conduct fell far short of what we expect from those who represent our football team and this great university. So, let me just read one more part. The other individuals, while not being separated from the team, will be subject to disciplinary measures internal to the football program. In making these announcements, it is important to stress that all the players involved in these 2 incidents remain subject to the justice system and university discipline, and those processes could yet impact their standing with the university and the team. So, we're talking about a senior who's going to be replaced by a freshman, Devin Studstill, who's now going to be an All-American candidate at safety, and now we have a freshman at safety. And his backup is a freshman in Jalen Elliott. So, what's Texas going to do in the opener? Well, they're going to spread the field and throw. A new offensive coordinator, Sterling Gilbert, is of the spread offense, the spread offense mentality. Freshman quarterback Shane Buechele also looking to be a guy who's going to chuck the ball around the field. So this is an issue for Notre Dame defensively. And as you talked about in the intro a little bit, Pauly, the betting markets have already started to pay attention.
It's lying down to 3.5. I'm still surprised. Kelly's going to play both quarterbacks. Notre Dame was a top 10 team. Charlie Strong's on the hot seat. I know these are a ton of issues to deal with, but still it feels short even with all these problems with Notre Dame because Texas has stunk lately. And we'll see early on. Now, can they figure it out later in the season? I still expect them to struggle early on with the new offense because the offense has been horrible at Texas the last couple of years. Especially the quarterback.
And that's the whole thing. Yeah, everyone starts talking about, new offensive coordinator, and they expect miracles from day one. These two teams played last year,
right,
in week one. It was a complete mismatch.
Yep.
I mean, it was a mismatch as mismatch gets. I think Texas has gotten better, significantly better, perhaps, on both sides of the football since that initial game against Notre Dame last year. But, as you mentioned, 3.5 or even some threes starting to pop up both here in Las Vegas and offshore. And to me, that has I'm not going to say it's definitely an overreaction, but it has the feel of a little bit of an overreaction by the betting markets to bad news for Notre Dame, but not a difference maker for that program.
All right, let's go rapid fire here. Key guys back at practice in NFL. The Giants, Victor Cruz, a non-factor since 2013 with multiple injuries. He's back practicing for the first time since August 9th.
Yeah, and he strained his groin back in the first or second week of training camp. He tried to come back once already. Now, I mean, for the Giants to be successful on offense this year, they need Victor Cruz to be not just productive, to be extremely productive, to be a good guy on the other side from Odell Beckham Jr. And over the last 2 seasons, he's done nothing. So far here in the preseason, the Giants' offense has looked awful. They need this guy back on the field and producing.
Tyler Eifert and Jordy Nelson back.
Yeah, I mean, Eifert, the quote I got was he's, quote, attempting to jog. You know, there was talk he was going to make practice. No, he's still going to miss multiple regular season games, but at least he's back on the field. As for Jordy Nelson, I got an unofficial count from a beat reporter that said that he caught 15 passes from Aaron Rodgers and the other quarterbacks at the far end of the field while the rest of the team went through a special teams period. And though he never faced off against an opposing defender, he did appear to be running close to full speed in those drills.
Berryman back for the Ravens, missed all of last season, then partially torn ACL in June. They hope to have him week 1 against Buffalo.
Yeah, they hope to have him on Saturday in the third preseason game. Here's a quote from John Harbaugh. If he can play, believe me, I want him out there playing. He wants to be out there playing. If he can play, he will play. You know, this is a guy that's tore his PCL and his right knee on the very first day of training camp last year. Eventually it sent him to injury reserve, and then he re-injured the knee back in June, and there were all kinds of issues. Harbaugh saying that he's still got to get back into football shape, but certainly a good sign for Baltimore that chard Berryman back on the field, at least in some capacity practicing.
Honey Badger back for Arizona. He says he's about 80%. He's back from a torn ACL.
Yeah, and, you know, Honey Badger's, all reports, by the way, was his first practice back. He was a monster already. This is his second torn ACL. So, yeah, he has experience going through the process, but we can expect Arizona to really try to keep the reins pulled back on Tyrann Mathieu because he's so important to their defense. A guy who they're counting on to be both healthy and effective all year long as Arizona looks to get back to the Super Bowl.
Seattle probably out with Jimmy Graham. Will be without with Jimmy Graham the first couple games of the season, but they get Rawls back and they need him as Lynch retired.
Yeah, I mean, you know my opinion on running backs. You know, they're important for fantasy players. They're not important for point spreads. Thomas Rawls did get back into practice, but it's looking more and more like Jimmy Graham is not going to be ready for the start of the regular season, and he could easily miss the first couple of games.
Yes, the Colts sign Antonio Cromartie with Davis out with a bad ankle.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the story with Cromartie, okay? The Jets cut him. Nobody was interested in him. Nobody brought him into camp for an interview. Reports said he's battling lingering hip problems. He worked out on Monday in Indy, and that's his first reported visit from anywhere since he was released by the Jets back in February. And the fact that Indy offered him a contract on the spot, a 1-year deal, tells us where the Colts are in terms of cornerbacks right now, particularly, as I mentioned, with Vontae Davis expected to miss into the regular season with that badly sprained ankle.
And Saturday, Gary Kubiak announces Trevor Siemian as the starter again.
Siemian's going to start. Here's the interesting thing. He didn't say that Sanchez was going to play number 2. He said he hadn't decided whether he was going to have Sanchez at number 2 or Paxton Lynch at number 2, which tells me that Mark Sanchez has just lost his job. But, of course, the Kubiak quote, I'm proud of all 3 of them. They've worked their tail off. They've all done good stuff. Obviously, we've got some mistakes we've got to get rid of, but we made some mistakes in the past, and you find a way to overcome them. That's part of football. And, it's kind of kitschy, and it's kind of schmaltzy, and, I'm proud of you kids from Kubiak. But I honestly think that is the appropriate approach to take. Great job, guys. Great job. Pat everyone on the back, and then name someone who's not going to be an effective starter, because it doesn't matter who he goes with. There are going to be issues.
No surprise. Once again, Sanchez vomited all over himself and continued to turn the ball over. Money time. Play of the day. Hey, get it while it's hot. No action yesterday because Strasburg was scratched. This is, get this number while it's available. Betting number 273, 274. Raiders, Titans under 43.5. This is a horrible job by the NFL. These teams meet again week 3 of the regular season. So which of those two?
Yeah, it's not a...
Huh?
I'm not going to say it's a horrible job of the NFL. It's what they do. But when you have the 2 teams that meet again in week 3, which of those 2 games do you think they're going to say their creative play calling for?
So, right.
No argument here, but they do.
But you think there'll be no creative play calling on Saturday. It should be just run the ball and punt and get the hell out of there because we don't want to show what we're going to do in the regular season. The game is on CBS on national TV. And FYI, Sunday from 10 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. at night, Pacific time, back-to-back-to-back nationally televised games, a doubleheader on Fox to start it, with the Vikings at home with their beautiful new billion-dollar stadium. Check that out. So plenty of football this weekend and on Sunday. All right, let's get that 43.5. Good information there. We'll talk to you Wednesday on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com.